A woman with long rabbit ears continuously reminds the little rabbit girl in front of her to remember the words of her elder, better to be swallowed by the serpent army of heavenly capital than to transform. At this moment, the image of the little rabbit keeps running around the large serpent army that is surrounding her. The woman's words echo. The weaker you are, the more easily you can be bullied, the more bloodthirsty and aggressive they will become. Transform. It will only bring you extreme torment. Then the little girl suddenly transforms into a small rabbit with jade pink eyes looking back. The reminders at this moment make you die painfully, so don't transform in front of them. In the moonlit night sky, the body of a black serpent is twisting among the petals. In front of it is a crowd of colorful rabbits jostling with each other. The scene of the brightly lit slaughterhouse sounds the voice of the Long Ear clan, offering of 99 high-quality spirit rabbits. Hearing the black serpent, the little rabbits trembling in front do not spare any praise for this offering. Soft skin, tender meat, well fed. Then behind him, all kinds of serpent soldiers are staring at the rabbits saying, "Ho ho, the little ones are all trembling." Is this the first time you see the serpent clan? Ha ha ha. Seeing the rabbits more frightened, they became more interested. You little ones, hurry up and transform. We are the most tender-hearted army. The rabbits at this moment are trampling each other, avoiding the gaze of the black serpent. Then one rabbit cried out, "Sister Cheat, you stepped on my tail." Then over here, another one shouted, "Hey, who kicked my butt?" Seeing the rabbits in front of him in chaos without transforming, the black serpent moved closer, sticking out its tongue, and continued, "The unchosen offerings are sent to heavenly fragrant rabbit restaurant cooked into..." Pausing for a moment, he began listing a series of dishes made from rabbits. Spicy rabbit head, steamed 8 treasure rabbit, whole roasted rabbit. Hearing this, the rabbits quickly shouted, "Hurry up and transform." Then a series of beautiful rabbit maidens appeared. Another quickly said that only by transforming and being chosen would they have a path to survival here. The Serpent Clan members are staring intently at the rabbit maidens in front of them. At this moment, Naq Naq, in the form of a small rabbit, quickly dashed out behind, thinking that it was time to escape. She quickly jumped off the table and ran away, telling herself that she couldn't be chosen by anyone. They still had an important mission to complete. She weaved under the feet of those present, thinking about where her target, the Grand Prince, was. Suddenly, someone accidentally kicked Naq Naq, causing her to fly out, exclaiming, "Ouch!" But before she could regain her shape, she rolled around like a ball. After stopping, Naq Naq was lying flat on the ground next to someone's foot with a spinning head, thinking, "Oh no, if I'm discovered I can't transform, I'll be cooked into spicy rabbit head." Suddenly, at this moment, the person beside saw the little rabbit and exclaimed, "Huh," then used their foot to poke her a few times, asking, "Is she dead?" Hearing the other party say that, Naq Naq immediately raised her head and quietly replied, "That's nonsense, But before she could finish speaking, a man with black hair and an icy expression was staring at her. Seeing the other party, she panicked, then lowered her head in fear, thinking it was royalty. But at this moment, a hand lifted the little rabbit that was standing frozen. After Naq Naq trembled while observing the person in front of her, she secretly thought that this snake lord looked quite gentle. Then the little rabbit thought further, "Wow, there's a medicinal fragrance like a delicate willow branch in the wind. He must be a kind-hearted snake." Suddenly, a man behind leaned close to the person in front and whispered, "The pink-eyed spirit rabbit eating it will surely benefit the prince's condition." Hearing the opponent say that, he then looked at the trembling little rabbit, Naq Naq, in front and said, "You stupid creature, not even knowing how to transform, this prince won't eat you." Hearing the person in front continue to speak, the little rabbit was still not over her fear, stuttering, that's great, then hurry up and let me go." But the person beside him did not think so. He rubbed his hands and said, "Royal brother, since you won't eat this spirit rabbit, then why not give it to me?" But he hadn't finished speaking when Naq Naq, in fear, thought, No, and then quickly rushed on to the man in front of her. After clinging to him, she fearfully thought to herself, "Don't let him eat me." This action of the little rabbit stunned him, but he quickly became furious. At this moment, Naq Naq, regardless, closed her eyes and told herself, "Forget it, I have to take a risk." After encouraging herself, she jumped up to kiss the person in front of her. Her action left the opponent stunned, while the man behind looked dumbfounded. After a moment of silence, the man who was kissed spoke up. "This prince has decided, although this prince won't eat it, it doesn't mean I don't need it." Hearing his royal brothers say that the man beside him stuck out his tongue while the one being kissed happily, thought, that's great. The elder rabbit sisters once said that the Snake Lord loves to enjoy tributes to win favor, and it turned out to be true. But after speaking to the person beside him, he stared intently at the little rabbit and said, I have to take it back, it must be punished. Hearing this, Naq Naq thrashed around angrily, thinking, that guy Bak Thiet Hak absolutely cannot take me back. Bak Thiet Hak, in the little rabbit's words, is a seemingly gentle and harmless person, but in reality he is a sinister one, clearly acting decisively and cruelly. But while Naq Naq was still struggling and cursing secretly, he pressed her against his chest and warned, if you move again, I will skin you. Hearing the opponent's threat, she immediately stiffened, thinking, a wise rabbit doesn't suffer losses. For now, I won't move. Her self-talk was derived from the saying, a good man doesn't suffer losses in front of his eyes, meaning a wise person can grasp the current situation and temporarily avoid unfavorable circumstances to prevent loss. It was late at night in a palace, and Arm rested on a steaming bath. At this time, Naq Naq had been locked in someone's embrace and placed on a servant's table. After finishing, he approached the screen to pay respects, saying, Prince the Rabbit is placed here. The subordinate respectfully withdrew. As for the girl on this side, hearing the other party say that, she wondered, the third prince, huh? At this moment, Naq Naq looked towards the screen where a figure was bathing, thinking to herself, oh, so he is the third prince from Tiandu, known as Night King Tang Tu. After that, she pondered that there were a total of 7 princes in the Tiandu kingdom. The eldest prince is known as the Duke Wang Duong Duat, manages military and political power, and Giet Thu, like Ngui, is the most favored prince by the ruler of Tiandu. He will be the next sovereign of Tiandu. Then she slowly thought of the person bathing inside, and this Prince Ba, known as King Ye, is sick all year round, being the least valued prince. After thinking this through, Naq Naq sighed silently and lay down. Crying brought back to the manor by him. It seems there is only the path of being eaten. After tonight, I will surely be taken to make a soup. Then she continued to lament, I am truly a pitiful little rabbit. While she was complaining, suddenly her stomach growled. Seeing this, Naq Naq couldn't hold back her tears and thought, I'm even more hungry now. Just then, a youthful voice rang out beside her. Are you hungry? Attracted by the voice, when Naq Naq turned to look, she was scared. In front of her was a little snake boy with the characteristic eyes of a snake staring at her. Frightened, she puffed up her fur and thought, who is he? Meanwhile, the person in front kept looking at Naq Naq, his youthful face also turning red. Then he opened the door and reached out, saying, come up here. She was confused at this moment, slowly extending her hand to him, thinking, could it be that he intends to help me? After she reached out, he stroked her soft fur and said while walking, I'm taking you to eat something delicious. Suddenly, Naq Naq panicked, thinking, you intend to take me under the watchful eyes of Prince Ba? Then she quickly looked around, but at that moment there was no sign of the third prince behind the screen. Then she thought, where is he? After the little snake commander took Naq Naq away, he brought in 2 plates of food and said, Bunny, do you want to eat the crispy fried balls? There's also chicken legs, very delicious. Meanwhile, she was struggling mentally. If discovered, I will be doomed. By then, my rabbit legs will be fried crispy. But it really smells good. But actually, the little rabbit outside can't eat chicken legs. Please don't imitate. As for the little snake boy, he placed the plate of chicken drumsticks in front of Naq Naq. She looked at his action in confusion. Suddenly, at this moment, he looked at her and said, are you a tribute brought back to nourish my body? Hearing this, she wondered, thinking, who is he talking about? Wasn't I given to Prince Bao? But while she was thinking, she was suddenly patted on the head by a warm hand. He waved his tail and patted the rabbit's head while reassuring her, don't be afraid, tribute, you all are foolish, I don't want to eat you. Hearing what the person in front said, Naq Naq began to ponder. The tone and appearance are exactly like that wicked man who likes to grab rabbit tails. Unless hesitating for a moment, Naq Naq quickly covered her mouth with her hand, looking at him thinking he was the son of King Ye. Lost in her own reasoning, a skewer of meat was brought in front of her. Hey, when did you sit next to me? He held out a skewer of meat in front of her, holding one himself, and said, let's eat together, then we will be accomplices. The little rabbit looked over confused. After both of them feasted and were full, the sky was left with the moon and the sound of the wind rustling through the leaves. The two of them lay together on the bed. He held her in his arms, happily drifting off to sleep. The one being held also comfortably commented, "The hands of this little snake lord are both soft and light, really comfortable, a bit sleepy." At this time, the moon had been replaced by the blinding sun, the sound of people bustling outside. Naq Naq, who was sleeping, suddenly heard a noise and woke up thinking someone had come. Looking to the side, the person lying next to her had disappeared at some point, and she secretly blamed the little snake commander for not waking her up before running away. It's me, I must escape quickly." At this moment, two maids entered the room, chatting as they walked. "Did you see the tribute the prince brought back last night?" The woman being asked quickly replied that she hadn't seen it. After entering the room, they quickly picked up their baskets. Suddenly, the woman carrying the basket exclaimed, "Oh, why is this so heavy? The little rabbit inside makes me dizzy." Feeling dizzy, she wondered where they were taking her. In a room, the two maids entered and bowed to the person in front of them, presenting the basket and saying, "The prince's chief pharmacist has finished preparing the medicine." Naq Naq panicked inside, thinking, "The prince's chief pharmacist, doesn't that mean I'm the bait? Help." The man in front propped his chin and looked at the person opposite, asking, "Have you found that little thing yet?" At this time, the chief pharmacist quickly replied while holding the medicine basket, "I am incompetent, but I am sure that the offerings have not escaped from the prince's residence yet." Hearing this, the prince holding the medicine basket warned, "It is best if it hasn't escaped. Otherwise, it will surely die a terrible death." At that moment, as he opened the basket, he saw her with big, round, tearful eyes. Seeing this, his expression darkened angry. The prince rested his chin on one hand, then lifted the crying object out of the basket, not forgetting to comment, "You really know how to find a hiding place." At this time, she squinted at the person in front of her, but her gaze met the firm chest of the opponent. Unable to control herself, she drooled, blushing, thinking, "Wow, this is too tempting." Then Naq Naq started to struggle, thinking, "What's wrong with me? My body is so hot, so uncomfortable." After looking at the squirming little thing in front of him, the prince said, "It ate the frost fragrance pill." The person standing beside him quickly replied, "I don't know about this." After hearing the answer, the prince tossed the little rabbit aside, but it seemed she had some spring in her, quickly bouncing back and landing directly on the chest of the person in front of her. After landing directly on the firm chest, Naq Naq pressed her face against it, thinking it was strange. "Why do I want to get close to him?" Seeing her like that, the prince angrily shouted, "You dare to act recklessly with me." Seeing the other party angry, she immediately retreated fearfully, covering her face. The man behind took the opportunity to stick out his tongue, mischievously hinting that the prince secretly snacked on the offerings last night. Just right as it got fat. Not much meat. What do you think should be stewed or roasted? Hearing the suggestion from Chief Steward Liu Naq Naq was scared to think she hated Liu's mouth the most. As soon as he opened his mouth, the little rabbit's life would be lost. But contrary to the craving for rabbit meat, the prince only smiled and replied, "Let's wait a bit. The first time we met, let's give it a gift first. Liu Yi, go get it here." Hearing that she has a gift, she looked at the person beside her with an excited gaze, thinking, "Is it a gift for me?" Meaning not to eat me anymore. Suddenly, Liu Yi pulled out a paper rabbit and mischievously tore apart the body and head of the paper rabbit. Seeing that Naq Naq was terrified and screamed quickly, running while shouting that she was about to lose her life, hurry and run away. But unfortunately for her, Naq Naq was so frightened that she ran into the wall. At this moment, the prince lifted her up, saying, "Being so scared and still daring to be reckless with me." Then he ordered the person in front, "Liu Yi, you go outside." After hearing the order, the other quickly bowed and replied, "Yes." After Liu Yi went outside, he held Naq Naq in his arms, warning, "If you dare to be reckless again, your end will be like this. Remember?" Meanwhile, the little thing in his arms kept struggling, squeaking, "Don't eat me." Seeing her struggle, he said, "Be quiet, don't move." After that, he pressed her tightly against his chest. The wound she got from hitting the wall earlier pressed against the chest of the person in front of her. Suddenly, the wound on Naq Naq's forehead flashed and a stream of blood floated. At this moment, the rabbit processed the person, then panicked, thinking, oh no, it's a blood contract. But at this moment, a circle of contract appeared. After the blood contract is established, both sides will sense each other and share life and death. At this moment, a red thread bound the prince and Naq Naq together. At this moment, she reassured herself not to panic. Establishing a blood contract with a path that benefits me. At this moment, she looked up and thought, as long as he has it on his forehead too. But contrary to Naq Naq's expectations, there was nothing on Zhongtu's forehead at this moment. She panicked and trembled, thinking, why doesn't he have the blood contract marks? Only half successful, huh? Then she covered her face with tears streaming down fearfully, thinking, it can't just be effective for me, can it? At this moment, the image of herself and Zhuangtu dying made her panic, thinking, then wouldn't it mean only I can sense Zhuangtu? If he dies, then I can't live either. No, I have to use my blood to draw on his forehead. Can it complete the remaining half of the blood contract? Thinking this, Naq Naq jumped up to hug his forehead. Her action made the prince angry quickly, grabbing the rabbit's ear, then throwing her to the servant beside him, angrily saying, lock her up, she doesn't listen. Then rewarded a meeting for the maid to handle, but quickly supported Naq Naq. It was late at night, and the crescent moon was high in the sky. She lay flat on the ground, blood all around, and her stomach kept growling. Suddenly, a voice called out to her. Hearing the other person's voice, Naq Naq, who was locked in the cage, happily thought it was Tuzakwan. Last night, he smiled at Naq Naq, then handed her a chicken leg, saying, here, after I let you out, Tuzakwan sat beside you, wagging its tail, petting the rabbit, while saying, you must be really scared today, right? Don't worry, I will make sure he won't bully you anymore. Hearing this, she looked at Tuzakwan in front of her, happily thinking, Tuzakwan is gentle and kind. Thankfully, he didn't inherit his father's erratic temperament. Then he looked at Naq Naq, who was nibbling on the chicken leg, and said, you have to be careful too. If he gets angry, even the king and queen won't listen to him. No one in this heavenly capital can control him. After hearing him say that, she held the chicken leg, looked up at the person in front of her, and thought, who does he mean by the king and queen? Could it be that he isn't the son of Zhuangtu? But Tuzakwan didn't care about her curious gaze and continued speaking. I have a secret that I've kept in my heart for a long time, and I really want to tell you. However, I'm afraid if I say too much, you might be silenced. So before he finished speaking, she jumped up using her soft little hands to cover the mouth of the little child, thinking that he shouldn't speak at this moment. He gently stroked the little rabbit's nose, then smiled and said, you are a smart little gift. I like smart people. Then he rubbed the head of the small creature in front of him and continued, don't worry, I will think of a way to save you. The next morning, the sun was high and the light was hazy. She woke up sitting up in fear, remembering that she had fallen asleep and Tuzakwan didn't wake her up. She looked around in panic, thinking that if she got caught outside, she would surely be in trouble. At that moment, her eyes landed on the prince lying on the bed. Now Naq Naq was horrified to think that she was still sleeping. It was too dangerous. Too dangerous, she had to quickly get back into his arms. She moved towards the cage, trying to stretch her hands up to the table where the cage was placed. But suddenly a figure appeared behind her. Naq Naq saw the figure and broke out in a cold sweat from fear. Zhuangtu, seeing the situation before him, asked, want to escape? Hearing the questioning tone of the other person, she vigorously shook her head, thinking, no. But the person in front continued, he must have told you already. In this heavenly capital, there is no place safer than my royal palace. If you want to survive, you must obediently listen. After Zhuangtu said this, Naq Naq kept nodding, thinking, it's a misunderstanding. I really am not trying to escape. But at this moment, she pondered, wait, who is he? While she was frozen, a snake tail appeared, quickly grabbing her. This action startled the little creature and she fainted. But Zhuangtu didn't care, using his tail to bring Naq Naq back in front of him, saying, are you scared? At this moment, his alluring collarbone peeked out. Seeing the heated scene, the little rabbit's face turned bright red, thinking that strange excitement was coming again. After thinking that, she reached out to get closer to Zhuangtu. This made him a bit uncomfortable, but he quickly looked at Naq Naq and questioned, is this how you flatter him? Whoa. But at this moment, the other party was still drowsily looking at the person in front, thinking that the snake tail felt too cool, embracing it comfortably. Then she desperately reached for Zhuang-tu, and when she pressed against his chest, she thought his body might be even cooler, which could relieve her heat. Seeing the small thing clinging to him, he angrily said, "You." But before he could finish, he saw the satisfied face pressing against his chest. At this moment, his face also turned red, secretly thinking that it was indeed a troublesome little thing. But it wasn't long before Zhuang pulled Naq Naq away, darkening his face and warning, "Don't think that just because he protects you, you can do whatever you want." At this moment, seeing the other party so angry made her retract her hands in fear, thinking that he was really angry. "I'm doomed. I'm doomed." Then she looked at him with her most sparkling eyes. Her action made Zhuang-tu, who was angry, also blush, but not long after he used his tail to throw her aside, saying, "This prince is not easily charmed." The sky gradually turned late, and the full moon hung in the sky. In the kitchen, Naq Naq was desperately trying to squeeze through a mouse hole. Behind her was Tu Shaquan, looking at the small thing in front, saying, "Little rabbit, you are getting healthier and healthier. Hurry up, it's about to get bright." But at this moment, she was struggling, continuously signaling Tu Shaquan to help her. Seeing that the rabbit could neither advance nor retreat, he pushed her with force, cheering himself on while kicking, "Come out." But after half an hour of struggling, both of them collapsed onto the ground. Tu Shaquan was drenched in sweat, panting, continuously saying, "What should we do now? If you can't squeeze through the hole anymore, how will you steal food?" Naq Naq, lying next to him, was not much better off defending herself. "Who said that about me?" But her attention at this moment had collided with the small window on the wall. Seeing this, Naq Naq waved her hand at the person beside her. After being lifted up, she pointed at the window, whispering, "There, go from there." Seeing this, Tu Shaquan lifted her up to the window. After she reached the place, she turned around to look at the person behind, continuously waving her hand, "Hurry up here." At this moment, Tu Shaquan hesitated, blushing and saying, "This prince doesn't like climbing through windows." Seeing his appearance also made her blush, thinking that he didn't look like he disliked it, but rather seemed scared. Could it be that he is afraid of heights? Seeing Naq Naq remain silent, Tu Shaquan quickly said, "You wait a moment. I will immediately turn into a snake and crawl out of the hole to carry you down." At this moment, it was late at the palace, and the full moon had risen high. After Tu Shaquan went outside, he quickly picked her up. At this moment, he was walking and talking. "Little bunny, you're too heavy. I can barely carry you." Hearing this, she immediately squeaked in protest. The sky was bright, and at this moment, a hand was holding the rabbit's tail high. Zhuang-tu, with his chin resting on his hand, looked at the small creature in front of him and couldn't help but exclaim, "It seems that lately the little one has been heavier." Hearing this, she couldn't help but get angry and struggled, thinking, "Why does everyone say I'm fat?" But the person opposite not only didn't stop, but also kept poking her stomach with his snake tail, naively saying, "You've gained quite a bit of weight." At this point, the little bunny being poked continuously shook her head, feeling dizzy and telling herself, "It's too much, my brain is about to explode." After a while, Zhuang-tu picked Naq Naq up straight and stared, continuing, "It seems you've never worried that this king would eat you. Have you?" Then he seriously ordered, "Open your eyes and look at this king." Hearing this, the little bunny was frightened, glancing to the side, thinking, "You sound like a demon. How can I dare to look?" But before she could finish her thought, he shouted angrily, "What kind of gaze is that?" After saying that, he threw the small creature in his hand away. Then he angrily narrowed his eyes and questioned, "What does he even like about you? Is it because you're as foolish as him?" And she, after being tossed aside, hugged her swollen head, glaring back angrily, thinking he not only despises her, but also dislikes little Snake Jun. Is there any father who would speak of their child like that? The more she thought about it, the angrier she got, causing Naq Naq to uncontrollably turn to the wall and stomp her feet. Seeing the situation in front of him, Zhuang-tu, one hand stroking his chin while looking at the small creature, said, "I really can't say anything more. You can't even protect your own little life, and you want to stand up for him." Then he couldn't hold back and poked the other person's bottom, saying, "You've been raised well. It's time." Hearing this from behind, Naq Naq did not hesitate to turn her head, giving Zhuang-tu an angry look, but also accompanied by a big question mark. The sky was getting late, and today was also round. At this moment, she was at the window. At first, she looked at little Snake Jun thinking, which kind person put this ladder here? Then she signaled to him, Little Snake June, you should climb up. Seeing Little Bunny signal, Little Snake June also obediently replied, Okay. Noticing that the other seemed unhappy, Little Bunny was puzzled, thinking, What's wrong with Little Snake Jun? Why does he look so heartbroken? After he climbed in, Little Bunny took out a skewer of meat and presented it to him, signaling, Don't be sad, eat something. But he still said nothing and just picked up the bunny. At this moment, being picked up unexpectedly made Bunny dazed, but before she could react, Little Snake Jun hugged Little Bunny in his arms, crying loudly, saying, I can't swallow. He wants to take you away. Then he choked out, continuing, Little Bunny, I begged him, but he didn't agree. Hearing this, Naq Naq also lowered her head silently, thinking, So he meant it was time to give me to someone else to eat. At this moment, Little Snake Jun tightly hugged Naq Naq, continuously crying loudly, When the sun rises, he will take you away. Little rabbit, I don't want to be apart from you. Seeing the other party like this, she also looked at the person in front of her with a choked voice, thinking, Little Snake Lord. Then she stretched out her tiny hand to comfort the other, hoping that when you wake up, you can forget every moment spent with me so you won't be sad anymore. Little Snake Lord closed her eyes, but tears kept falling. Suddenly, a hand reached out from behind, grabbing Little Rabbit. It was Tang Tu. He looked at the small creature, lightly licked the head of Little Rabbit, and said, Not bad. Now that Little Rabbit has been fed round and plump, it must taste really good. Then he quickly transformed into a snake, opened his mouth wide, intending to swallow Little Rabbit whole. Seeing this, Little Rabbit turned pale with fear, silently screaming, Don't eat me! A young girl, frightened, covered her face with both hands, but after a while of panic, she gradually calmed down, opening her big ruby eyes to look around. Then she looked at herself, panicking, thinking, Have I transformed? After regaining her senses, she looked at the person in front of her, pondering, Why is it him? Where is Little Snake Lord? I have to transform back and return to my heart before he wakes up. But at this moment, she was tightly embraced by Tang Tu. When she tried to move away, she panicked, then blushed, looking at the person holding her in his arms, silently cursing. How annoying, why is it so heavy? If I were in my original form, he would have squashed me flat. Meanwhile, Tang Tu beside her was still sleeping soundly and holding the other tightly in his arms. But perhaps due to her struggling too hard, he frowned and groaned. Then opened his eyes to look at the woman in his arms. Seeing that she couldn't hide, she shyly smiled and greeted, Hello, good morning. But after a while, Tang Tu woke up, got dressed, and looked at Naq Naq, saying, Little thing, you're quite bold, daring to transform in front of this prince. What did this prince say? Have you really forgotten everything? Hearing what the person in front of her said, she panicked and sat up straight, saying, Wait, I'll transform. I'll go back to my original form right now. But after saying that, she was left speechless by her own words. She stammered, thinking, How do you transform back? But in the midst of her panic, Tang Tu's voice rang out, When did this prince tell you to transform back to your original form? Then he moved closer to her, lifting her chin with one hand, staring seriously at her. At this moment, the little rabbit in her heart was terrified, thinking, The heart of Snake Lord is like a needle in the depths of the sea. What do you really want? But before Naq Naq could say anything, Tang Tu turned her chin to look at her and continued, My empty residence is not without purpose. Seeing the person in front of her like this, she avoided his gaze, fearfully thinking, He looks like he wants to eat me just like in my dream. Then she reached out and took his hand, trembling, saying, Please don't, I beg you. Seeing Naq Naq like this, he placed one hand on her neck and walked around behind, casually asking, What are you begging this prince for? At this moment, she lowered her head shyly, saying, I beg you not to eat me. Hearing her say that Tang Tu's face leaned closer to her, the atmosphere around them grew heavy, asking, On what basis do you say I won't eat you? At this moment, going back to the past in a desolate place, a beam of light shone straight up into the starry night sky. 500 years ago, at the forbidden area of Tiandu, a beam of deathly light caused all the females in Tiandu to lose their ability to reproduce. Therefore, the Tiandu kingdom placed great importance on the lyre. After recalling what happened in the past, Naq blushed and thought, if I can, perhaps this is all to buy time and successfully assassinate the Grand Prince Tangji. After thinking that, her heart raced wildly, and after a moment she finally spoke. I can... The other party was stammering and couldn't finish a sentence when Tang Tu, standing in front of her, looked at her with interest and said, Huh. At this moment, Naq was trying to complete a sentence. I see myself as... Naq encouraged herself. Come on, say it, it's all for Princess Tuyet. In her memory, a figure appeared, a rabbit girl of the tribe. After gathering all her courage since she was born, Naq leaned her face closer to Tang Tu's face. Suddenly, with a loud bang, a cloud of smoke enveloped the two of them. After the smoke cleared, in front of Tang Tu was a rabbit, while Naq, after transforming back into a rabbit, turned completely red and thought, what is happening? Have I transformed back? After finishing everything, he lifted her, who was trembling, and commented on the rabbit. Suddenly, two figures appeared outside. One of them quickly spoke, Your Highness Prince Anne has arrived. At this moment, a purple fan came in, accompanied by a voice. You woke up a bit late today. The newcomer was Prince An Tang Sach, the 6th Prince of Tiandu. He entered with a smile while saying, You agreed to bring the tribute to me today. The 6th Prince had been cheerful and smiling since he walked in. At this time, Naq also turned her head to look at the other party, thinking that this 6th Prince didn't look too bad. But with his playful and charming demeanor, would he eat me? Then a beautiful woman and a man appeared in her mind. At this time, Naq continued to think that the Lin Fai family, the mother of the 6th Prince, was very formidable. 1/3 of the military power of Tiandu was almost in the hands of Lin Fai's younger brother. Lost in thought, she was startled when she was suddenly grabbed by the hand. Then Tang Tu stared at her and said, Little thing, look at them. Hearing the angry question from the person beside her, Naq used all her strength to shake her head and squeaked, signaling the frame. Tang Sash, standing opposite, also looked blankly at the two in front of him. Then he said with interest, Elder brother, haven't you always hated these tributes? Why do you particularly like this one today? At this moment, Tang Tu stood opposite and also looked blankly at the person in front of him, while Naq was being held by the hand and crying. But while standing dumbfounded, the 6th Prince reached out as if to touch her but was pulled back by Taka. Seeing this, he expressed dissatisfaction and said, Petty can't, I even touch it once. Seeing this, he was dissatisfied and said, Petty can't, I even touch it. But Tang Tu didn't care, and hugged her tightly. As for Naq Naq, a little rabbit who had been crying, she was now dazed in someone's arms. After a moment of complaint, Wang Sach, with sparkling eyes, asked, Brother, I was the one who sang you said you would give me that greedy and lustful rabbit, right? Meanwhile, she was lying quietly, suddenly being specifically pointed out as greedy and lustful, like 2 arrows piercing straight into the heart of our little rabbit. Then she secretly cursed the person in front of her. Great you Duang Tu, is this how you spread rumors about me? After that, Naq Naq glared at her opponent with her rage, but Duang Tu just blushed and cleared his throat a few times. After calming down, he pressed her head with one hand and looked at his younger brother, asking, How do you plan to handle it? Hearing the question from the person in front of him, Duang Sach honestly replied, Of course we will make it earn money. The secrets of my brother depend on these tribute offerings to survive. Hearing this, Naq Naq felt both helpless and angry. After thinking for a while, she realized she couldn't live peacefully anymore. Hearing his younger brother's intentions, he asked back, Can the tribute offerings that bite also earn money? Hearing the prominent characteristics of the tribute offerings, Duang Sach became even more interested, continuing, Is it good at biting? The tribute offerings are so timid and weak, daring to speak, they must be quite strong in character. In your rabbit fighting area, there are quite a few that can earn you a lot of money. Good. Upon hearing this, it seemed like Naq Naq's soul had left her body. She hugged her cheeks, panicking and thinking, The rabbit fighting area. Then her little head imagined herself inside being punched by another rabbit that was black and muscular, crying out faintly. After finishing her imagination, Naq Naq hid in Duang Tu's arms, secretly cursing, Indeed, the princes of Tiandu all like to mistreat rabbits. Seeing her like this, Duang Tu looked worriedly at her, but the person opposite was still excitedly chattering. I opened a new gambling area just for it. The gambling table is already fully prepared, just missing it. There are also 10 adult-strong rabbits waiting for it. Upon hearing this, Naq Naq's imagination soared again. At this moment, she was standing among a group of strong, muscular rabbits, continuously showing off their strength. At this time, her face turned pale, thinking, 10 rabbits. At the same time, Duong Sach also approached his big brother, happily said, "The rabbit you are holding is quite plump. The tribute offering is gluttonous, lazy, timid, and lustful." The big brother wasn't talking about it right. Seeing the opponent coming closer, Naq Naq silently pleaded, "Dongtu, please say something." But contrary to her wishes, he pulled her out and cheerfully said, "If you like it, take it." When Naq Naq saw herself being pulled out, she panicked and thought, "Not this sentence." Duong Sach quickly raised both hands to catch the rabbit, not forgetting to say, "Thank you, brother." Despite her trembling and fear, realizing the situation was unfavorable for her, she struggled fiercely. "No, I absolutely cannot let him take me away." Thinking that, she turned around using her tiny hands to grab Duong Tu's clothes. On this side, Duong Sach was holding her legs, ordering her to let go, but Naq Naq was not backing down, squeaking in response. "Let go. Let go." He's not someone easy to deal with, and he angrily ordered to let go of that fat rabbit immediately. As for Naq Naq, even though she was captured by the opponent, she resolutely thought to herself, No, I won't let go even if I die." The two kept saying, "You let go of me," without caring. The bystander, Duong Tu, was starting to get annoyed while Duong Sach kept pulling and Naq Naq kept holding on, stretching her body like a rubber band being pulled. After a moment of struggling, Duong Sach bent down panting and said, "Luke, Tam Cha truly attribute you raised the GA too big, I'm exhausted." Suddenly, a guard entered, bowed, and said, "Prince Luke, the Empress requests your immediate return." Hearing this, he angrily turned to leave, not forgetting to warn Naq Naq, "I'll come back another day, don't think about escaping." At this moment, Duong Tu, with a messy head clothes torn here and there, looked very shabby. Angrily watched the person leave, and the fat rabbit burrowing into his arms, its butt sticking out trembling. After the person left, he pulled her out, and Naq Naq, scared, curled up in his hand. Seeing this, Duong Tu only smiled slightly, then said in a serious tone, "Little thing, how dare you be so rude? It's because I've been too good to you lately." Seeing the serious look on his face, she felt tears welling up, thinking, "For the sake of your son, don't take me away." Seeing her like this, he threw her behind, saying, "Get back into your own arms." At this time, the sky had darkened and the full moon hung high above. Naq Naq looked around sadly and thought, "Why hasn't Tiu Zaquan come today? Do they think I've been taken away?" Then she sighed softly. Suddenly, at that moment, the cage door opened and Naq Naq looked at what was happening before her, stunned, covering her face, thinking, "So they didn't lock the door?" Seeing this, she happily thought, "This is great. Now where should I go to find Jai Huang Tu?" The starry sky at this moment in the royal mansion, Naq Naq was running wildly. Suddenly, a voice echoed from behind, "I want the rabbit. Damn it, where have you taken the rabbit?" Hearing the noise, she stopped, perked up her ears to listen, and then quickly ran toward the source of the sound. Inside the room, continuous curses rang out. "Damn it. Don't let me go outside to find the rabbit." At this time, she hid in the bushes. Hearing the opponent's voice, she thought it was Tiu Saquan's voice. Was he locked up here by Duong Tu? Then she quickly ran toward that room, and at that moment, she called out from outside, "Cheat, cheat. Tiu Zaquan, I'm here." But Naq Naq didn't expect that someone had appeared behind her. The opponent quickly covered the little rabbit with black cloth, while she, confused, called out, "Huh?" After realizing her situation, she cried out silently, screaming, "Who saved me?" The steward at this moment holding a bag, Naq Naq frowned and said, "How did you find this place? Don't you want to live anymore?" While she was inside the cloth bag, she kept struggling, squeaking. Suddenly, a voice came from inside. "Nat Nat, is it the little rabbit? Let me go, I want to see it." At this moment, she also stopped struggling, thinking it was the voice of Xiao Zejun, and then she cried out even harder. Suddenly, her body felt a sharp pain, and the figure of Duong Tu appeared in her mind. Nana sat down, hugging her shoulder with one hand, secretly thinking, "Duong Tu, is he also in the room? Why is his shoulder injured? It hurts so much." Then she thought while biting the bag, If Naq Naq hands me over, I'm done for. I have to escape quickly. After a while of biting hard, the bag finally ripped. The chief manager was walking, not paying attention, when Nana quickly jumped out. After escaping, she climbed onto the roof. Nana stealthily used her chubby body to push a tile away. After her eyes adjusted, she saw Duong-tu was taking a bath inside. He closed his eyes, enjoying revealing a serious wound on his left shoulder. Looking at the bruised wound, Na thought, who could have injured him like that? Then Nana slowly pressed her face against the tile, secretly suspicious. Strange, a moment ago, I heard Xiao Xiajun's voice, but now I don't see him anywhere. At this moment, the 6th chief manager entered hesitantly, saying, Your Highness, the matter from before the Crown Prince is inquiring. Duong-tu was still sitting in the water, being treated with ointment while scolding the people outside. Can't even handle this, what use do you have? At this time, Nana leaned over the roof, observing the whole situation, and thought it seemed like Duong-tu was poisoned. She leaned back blankly, thinking, could he possibly die? Between the two of us is also Kei Huyet. If he dies, my life is also in danger. She slipped, and the tile under her fell into Duong-tu's bathing pool. Her splash made water spray right into the face of the person bathing. Duong-tu gently grabbed Nana's tail while she kept her head submerged in the water, continuously making bubbling sounds. After lifting the fat rabbit up, he frowned and asked, Why is it you? But at this moment, she was not concerned about the person in front of her and was busy coughing. At the same time, the 6th chief manager also looked at his bag, panicking and saying, When did you run away? Over here, he lifted her up despite her continuous struggles, interrogating, Who brought you in here? Hearing the question, Na didn't hold back and pointed directly at the person in the corner, shouting, Chi-Chi? Seeing this, Sao Nat was startled and began to check the bag in his hand. But at this moment, Duong-tu glanced at him. Seeing his sharp gaze, the 6th chief manager trembled and bowed, explaining, It must have heard Xiao Xiajun's voice and wanted to come in. Clearly, his subordinate had just caught it. But before he could finish speaking, Duong-tu looked at her, continuing to interrogate. So it turns out you came to find it. Do you know what relationship it has with me? Hearing the question, Na desperately nodded, whispering, I know it's father and son. Seeing her answer, he continued to ask, Did it tell you? Hearing that, she shook her head, thinking that Xiao Xiajun once said, the more one knows, the faster one dies. Seeing this, Tang-tu smiled slightly. Then she flicked Nana's forehead and slowly replied, You're wrong. Despite the other person's big bump on their head, she, holding her forehead, thought in confusion, Wrong, but he didn't care, handing her over to Liu. Reminding, Keep an eye on her, don't let her cause trouble again. The other party quickly reached out to take her, responding, Yes. At this moment, once settled in Liu Zongguan's arms, Nana thought to herself, Can Tang-tu read my heart? Clearly, the blood contract had only succeeded halfway. The next day, Liu Yi brought medicine to Prince Tang-tu. Your medicine. At this time, he was lying flat on the bed, responding, Put it there. After going outside for a while after the sound of the door closing, Nana raised her little head to look. After confirming the other person, she approached the one lying on the bed. Seeing his flushed face drenched in sweat, she thought, It's been an hour already, why hasn't he woken up yet? If he doesn't take the medicine, could he die? Then she leaned closer to check on the person in front of her. Suddenly, at that moment, Tang-tu opened his eyes, startling Nana. But contrary to her, he wrapped his arms around her, saying, Little one, why are you here? This gentle action made Nana's face turn as red as a chili pepper. But before she could do anything, Tang-tu pressed her into his arms, thinking, Help this prince warm up. And she, when embraced with her body intimately touching Tang-tu's chest, panicked and thought, Why is it so hot? After a moment, Tang-tu murmured, It's too cold. Hearing him say that, Nana placed her hand on his forehead, wondering, Cold? Prince, you are about to get so hot you might burst into flames. Your brain won't overheat and break, right? Then she looked at the bowl of medicine, still warm, silently thinking, If he has a fever still, it might be life-threatening. I have to get him to take the medicine quickly. Thinking is doing, she stepped forward, using both hands and all her strength to lift the bowl of medicine, but it remained immobile in place. As she lifted it, Nana complained, It's too heavy, if only I could transform into a human. Then she recalled the past, remembering when she was little. Anyang, Taking medicine when she was young, recalling it now, made Nana's small face turn rosy, but not long after she buried her head into the medicine, not forgetting to comment. "It's too bitter." Then looking toward Tang Tu, who had a high fever with medicine in his mouth, she thought, "A Niang fed me like this, taking the medicine would be faster." After a moment of hesitation, she told herself, "It must be for the sake of my life." So Nana moved closer, cupping his face with her hands and slowly transferring the medicine as if she had transformed and was feeding medicine to Tang Tu. At this moment, Nana kept silently cheering. "You have to get better quickly." Over here, Tang Tu also swallowed the medicine she fed him, seeing that Nana secretly rejoiced in success. After that, she repeated that series of actions, continuously cheering herself on. Just a few more sips. After a while of running back and forth, the medicine was more than half gone, and Tang Tu's complexion had improved, but Nana's lips had become much more alluring. She lay next to him, panting and complaining, "I'm exhausted." After a while, to regain her strength, she placed her hand on her forehead to check the temperature, seeing that the other person still had a fever. She whispered curses. "Is this medicine prescribed by a quack? Why is it still so hot?" At this moment, Naq Naq sighed, reflecting, "I guess I have to rely on myself. The pink-eyed rabbit is a tonic, meeting me as your luck." After thinking, she raised her hand to her mouth, bit it, and slowly brought it to his face, letting her blood drip into Zhuangtu's mouth. Suddenly, a loud noise startled her while she was acting, and she turned to look. The steward rushed in, panicked, saying, "What are you doing here? How dare you be on the prince's bed?" Then he made the scariest face, raising both hands and sticking out his tongue, wanting to catch her. Seeing the other person like that, Naq Naq was scared and silently justified. "Brother Min, do you have eyes to see? I'm saving your precious prince." Just then something caught her attention. The medicine on the table was nearly gone, and at this moment the steward looked at Naq Naq with eager eyes, saying, "The prince must have taken the medicine. Little tribute, what did you do to make the prince obediently take the medicine?" Seeing the person in front of her constantly flattering, she crossed her arms, feeling pleased, thinking, "I won't tell you, I'll make you anxious." It seems her smug appearance made the steward angry. He pinched her cheek hard without mercy. Then, contrary to the look of admiration, his face was now filled with anger. He pinched and threatened if Lady Ngakfai found out that the prince had been with the tribute all day, she would definitely turn you into a rabbit stew. She heard the threat, but her mind was only immersed in her own thoughts. The person mentioned was Ngachfi, who was also Zhuangtu's mother, the most favored consort of the emperor. The gaze of the snake clan was extremely sharp looking ahead. Naq Naq was scared at this moment, thinking further that she was a jealous and scheming person with a tribute close to seducing her son. She was sitting thinking in fear when Zhuangtu's voice rang out. "Oh, shut up." As he spoke, he rolled over inside, leaving the two who had been noisy just now stunned, hearing their prince say that they slapped themselves. And Naq Naq looked at the person in front of her, sympathetically thinking, "I'll tell you, but don't mention Ngachfi." Then she ran over, took a mouthful of medicine, and approached Zhuangtu to feed him. After finishing, she stretched out her hands, thinking, "See, that's how it is." As for Sao Not, after watching the whole situation, she panicked, covering her face, then grabbed Naq Naq and shook her hard, crying and saying, "You, a tribute with such a big heart, dare not respect the prince. My prince is no longer clean." At this moment, she was being shaken, wanting to break free, silently resenting, "Why such a big reaction? A few hundred will not kill you." Then she recalled herself before coming to Tianzhou, thinking that the tribute before being handed to the Snake Prince had not only the option of being eaten by the court officials, but also showed us the tribute's power to survive. In her mind, images of Naq Naq and the martial arts classroom were replaying one by one. At that moment, her face darkened as she looked at what was written in the book and thought, "Those snake princes are mistreating the offerings, they are going too far." At this moment, she shrugged to signal. The image of filth was indeed unbearable compared to my recent actions, fundamentally not worth mentioning. But at this time, the steward was not paying attention to her. He was looking out the window. The sky was gradually darkening and the moon had risen. At this moment, the steward panicked and thought, "Oh no, it's almost time. I can't let this rabbit discover the prince's secret." Thinking this, the steward reached out towards Naq Naq. This action from the other party made her confused with a big question mark. Then a series of noises erupted. At this point, the moon was high and the night sky was even more enchanting. At this moment, the little snake commander sat up blushing and sticking out his tongue said, what is this? My mouth is too bitter. He looked at the person next to him and curiously asked, Naq Naq, what do you have in your hand? Let me see. But the steward evaded tightly, hiding the cloth bag behind him, saying, Reporting to the prince, it's just a dead mouse. My subordinate was about to throw it away. You don't need to look anymore. Meanwhile, tears were falling from Naq Naq's eyes as she panicked, thinking, I can't speak. I'm about to suffocate. But the little snake commander didn't care about her words. He leaned over to look at the object behind the steward. The more he looked, the more frightened the steward became, hiding it tighter. After observing for a while, he said innocently, But clearly it's still moving. Seeing this, the steward broke out in a sweat, tremblingly raised his hand, and evasively said, It's my subordinate's shaking hands. There's an old wound on his wrist. For a moment powerless, but while little Snake Jun was still confused, he quickly ran away, not forgetting to leave the words. The prince is still injured. You should continue to rest. After the other party left, little Snake Jun said suspiciously, I find him very strange. Don't you think so, Rabbit? Not hearing a response, he panikedly looked at the cage beside him, shouting, Where is the rabbit? Meanwhile, the steward had run out of the palace, bending down and panting from running too hard. Suddenly, he remembered and pulled Naq Naq out of the bag, continuously shaking her in panic, saying, Hey, little offering, are you still alive? As for her head was spinning, thinking, If I'm alive, you're shaking me to death. I'm so dizzy. But at this moment, the expression on Naq Naq's face gradually became a bit unstable. Looking at the fat rabbit lying motionless in front of him, he pulled out the dagger from his sleeve. Out of options holding the dagger, he looked at Naq. Naq slumped on the table and slowly continued. If you already know the prince's secret, you won't live for long. Suddenly at that moment, little Snake Jun appeared from behind. Hearing the other party say this, she stared blankly at the person in front of her and asked, What secret are you talking about? What is Naq Naq talking about? At this moment, Luke, the steward, raised his hand high with a cold gaze, saying, The prince is a person of great ambition. He cannot be influenced by you. Suddenly, at this moment, a wave of sound erupted. Rabbit Naq Naq's dazed, ruby eyes regained a bit of clarity, and at this moment, a sound erupted, blood splattering everywhere. The bloody dagger also fell down. Little Xiajun, while pushing Lu Yi's hand that was pressing against her aside, looked at Naq Naq with concern and asked, Rabbit, what's wrong with you? She, with the wound on her hand, tiredly said, Little Xiajun, don't cry. When he saw her like that, he was also scared and shouted, Don't. After saying that, he rushed over, biting Lu Yi's hand while saying, Bad person, let the rabbit go. Seeing this, he raised both hands high, allowing little Xiajun to hit and cry while saying, I'll beat you to death. I'll beat you to death. Although trying very hard to hit the opponent, it was insignificant as little Xiajun's punches caused no damage, making Lu General Manager break out in a sweat. After a while of chaos, he held the boy's shoulders and said, Don't be like this anymore. Then turning the boy to face Naq Naq, who was motionless on the table, he continued, Come on, while it's still fresh, you should eat it quickly. The prince just needs to eat it to recover from his illness. Hearing those words from the person behind little Xiajun remained silent. Then tears streamed down like rain. Escaping from Lu General Manager's grasp, she shouted, I won't eat it, I hate you quickly, return the rabbit to me. Hearing the words of the opponent, Naq Naq told herself, Thank you, little Xiajun. Thank you for trying so hard to save me.